Hey everybody, it's that time. You heard Angus Young. He's on that guitar. Hey, there's a guy there that knows about music, and it's AC/DC, but you know what? Ultimately, it's season 2, episode 3 of Educators Podcast Smash. Josh Tobat, proud principal of Memorial Pathway Academy in Garland ISD, Garland, USA, Texas. Ready and rock and roll and learning from look at I don't know where your squares are. My squares are everybody. All the knowledge is right there. It's about learning from each other, getting ready for 23-24. I don't know what just happened the last year, but let's make sure that we're ready for 23-24. And wherever you're at, we need you. We need your 2 cents. We need to learn from you. Idaho, South Dakota, wherever you're at, we need you to be part of this show. So if you're in Alaska or you're Hawaii, if you are in New York or you're in Florida or anywhere in the 48 middle, we need you to make sure that you like and share this if you've seen it in the rebroadcast, but ultimately learn from all of these awesome educators. What do you think about that, Chris?
I think your energy is infectious, Joss. I absolutely love it. Hey, it's Chris Starcheski. I'm the proud principal of Grafton Middle School in Grafton, Massachusetts. We're finally getting a little bit of the heat that the rest of the country's been experiencing, but we cooled down about 25 degrees with some big thunderstorms today. It's quite nice. Been spending the past couple of days down in Plymouth, Mass. You know where that little teeny tiny rock is? If you've never been there, it really is teeny tiny. But the MSAA conference, the Massachusetts School Administrators Association conference, yesterday's keynote fired us up from the very beginning with Adam Welcome. He lit the place on fire. It was absolutely amazing. But we're going to light this screen up on fire because we got some amazing guests with us tonight to go through these podcasts. Let's go ahead and give a little wave. We got Sean Gaillard. How are you, Sean?
I'm fine, Chris. It's good to be here. And I forgot you and I have Massachusetts in common. Lived on the North Shore in Beverly for about 7 years. So I'm in great company with you, pal.
Thanks, brother.
And with everybody here, so it's great to be here.
Yeah, it's awesome. We're psyched. We've got Thomas Murray popped in down the bottom.
Hey, what's up, everybody? And I was at that conference last year, so I hope you better have gotten one of those lobster rolls, by the way, at one of those places on there, because they are fabulous in Plymouth. I will actually be there in like 2 weeks, and I'm going to be grabbing another lobster roll, so good stuff.
Awesome. Hey, we've got Tammy Taylor. How are you, Tammy?
Hi, guys. I'm good and so excited to be with you guys tonight.
Fantastic. Thanks for being here. Sheka Houston, how you been?
Oh, good. And you all are talking my language with those lobster rolls. I love seafood. Happy to be here. Thank you.
Awesome. I'm happy you're here. And Lainie, Rowell, how are you tonight?
I am better now that I'm here with all of you.
Hey, that's the theme here. Better together, right? We learn from one another, we grow, and we make others better by them listening to us and hearing your stories. But hey, speaking of stories, if we can just start, we'll go in reverse order of the introductions. You don't need to remember it. I'll go through it. But love to hear your origin story and the roles that you've served in education, where you've been, and a little bit about your history. Why don't you kick us off, Lainie?
Sure. This is my 26th year as an educator. I have been a classroom teacher. I have been a district leader, and I am currently a full-time author, consultant. I get to travel all around and do professional learning. All of this, by the way, is a complete change lanes without signaling for my family because I was not a good student in school. I was actually a psychology major. And doing my field hours, I got to work in a school, and that's what changed everything for me. So that's what brought me here, and I am so blessed to have this role in education with all of you.
Awesome, absolutely awesome. Hey, let's head over to Sheka.
I actually came into education as a career changer. My original career was banking and real estate and mortgage lending. So I did a workshop for some teen girls on self-esteem, and I just fell in love with those young ladies. I saw myself in them. It was in my community, so I felt like, I wanted to be that role model that I felt like I needed. So I was a career changer. I started off as a teacher for 5 years, served as an assistant principal. Now I'm in district level leadership, and we also do PD. We're authors, speakers, and presenters. So we're working with schools and leaders on leadership coaching. So I'm enjoying it.
Wow, your soul started to get fed when you met those girls. That's awesome that you had a parallel path and all of a sudden it just intersected. That's a fantastic entry. I absolutely love it. Tammy.
Hi guys again. Like Sheka, I was in a different career. I was in corporate banking and stumbled into education when a friend asked me to take a very easy class that was going to get us A's, which was Education 180. Everybody gets an A in Education 180 because you get to go and visit schools. And I completely fell in love with the concept of education and changed my major in my third year of accounting, and I've been on that journey ever since. I have similar experiences, of course, as the two amazing ladies preceding me. I was a teacher. I worked at the district in administration, and now I am a very proud principal of an elementary school in South Carolina. And I am the partner to Sheka and all those other things that she described that we do.
Absolutely awesome. I love listening to these stories because, Josh and I aren't going to talk about ourselves, but there are a lot of similarities up on the screen. This is just awesome. Tom.
Yeah. So, hey, everybody. So, I went to college to be a doctor. I wanted to be a pediatrician because I wanted to work with kids and I loved medicine. And sophomore year, I'd been doing really well. I was like, I don't want to just see kids when they're sick. I want to really get to know them and be able to connect with them. So I changed to education and started teaching fourth grade. So I started at the elementary level. I taught there. I went to the middle school. I taught there. I was a middle school principal. I was an elementary principal. I went to district office. I obviously couldn't keep a job. So now I work out of Washington, D.C. Like makes total sense, right? So now in my day job, I lead future ready schools. And part of my role will work with the Senate, the Congress, the White House, no matter who's in office. Regardless there, we'll work on that high level educational policy stuff. And then in my doing that, though, the main part of our job is working with school and district leaders around the country. We're bipartisan nonprofits. We don't really sell anything by any means. We raise money to be able to support school and district leadership. But because of that, and I get the opportunity to be around the country, but this is also the go time where I get to speak and I think I'm doing like 22, 23 convocations in August. And so get to be with a lot of different people around the country as a speaker, as an author, and those kinds of things. And so that's a little bit of my path and a little bit of my journey. But no matter where I go in the country, there's amazing people working hard for kids.
Outstanding, man. Outstanding. And last year at MSAA, you did light that house on fire. It was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
It was all about the lobster roll. Again, there was the lobster.
Hey, we'll work for lobster roll. That could be a bumper sticker for you. Hey, Sean.
Man, I got to follow all that. I mean, this is wow. I'm just in awe of everybody. So I'll try to make it short and sweet. This is year 32 in education by trade. I'm a high school English teacher who spent so much time in the principal's office when I was younger that I ended up becoming a principal. I was a middle school principal. I was a high school principal, and currently I am an elementary school principal. And I'm very grateful that a certain fifth grade teacher saw something in me that I didn't see in myself that ignited the journey to help others and to be present for others and to help others change the world. So I'm with a lot of world changers right here at this moment. So I'm very grateful.
Awesome. So awesome. Thank you for sharing, everybody. So real quick, you guys told about, pardon me, the different positions you felt. Have you had in your early career as a student or as a professional in college, we found out how you went in there, but was there an educator that motivated you to become that awesome leader in the classroom? And question number 2 is, currently, right now, who inspires you? Who brings out that fire to keep on going when we still have that ripple effect of the last 3 years, and it's going to keep on going for a while now, but who keeps you going? Who sets you on fire to ensure that you give the best version of yourselves every day in front of staff, faculty, students, whoever it might be? Lainie.
All right. Ooh, that's a tough one. Okay, so a teacher that inspired me was Mr. Bartlett. He was my middle school, high school teacher, and he just loved history, and he really made me love it too. And he just also made me feel like he cared, and so that was definitely something that stuck with me. Like I said, I was not a good student. It was not a premier experience, but I did have some good relationships with teachers, and he was one of them. And then who inspires me now? I mean, honestly, I feel really fortunate that I get to go and work with other educators. I still get time in the classroom, but the, shoulder to shoulder time I get with other educators where we're continuously improving our practice, that's really, to me, what keeps me going. So it's not necessarily, I don't know if I'm a cheat here, but it's not necessarily one individual. It's more of all the educators that I get to work with as I get to go around and meet new people, and just their positivity and their perseverance and their dedication to kids. It just keeps me going.
Beautiful. Love it. Tammy.
So my teacher that inspired me was actually my high school English teacher, my senior English. She was Mildred Moore. And I was actually a pretty good student in school. And so teachers typically liked me, and I had a good relationship with all my teachers. And she was the teacher who said, you are not that great. This is what you need to work on to be great. And this completely caught me off guard because all my teachers had loved me to that point. And I learned that was truly love from her, because she wanted to challenge me to do the very best that I could. And because of her, when everybody else in my freshman English class was failing, I was very, very successful, and have since been someone who loves the English as a not just language, but the concept, and love writing and all that goes with that because of her. So she was definitely an inspiration. And I'm inspired now every single day by my students and my staff, just because I see them come in and give all that they have. We've been in a very awkward position for the past several years because we were so deep in school improvement. And I serve in a very marginalized community. And because of that, I have challenges that some other administrators don't have to face. But when I see them come in and are willing to give everything they have so that we can move that academic needle, because they've caught on to what I think is important, and they share the vision of being successful, I'm inspired to do more. And as I do more, I think I inspire them to do more. And so we just have this synergy that sets us on fire down there and allows us to do great work.
Hmm.
Love it. And you know what? The educators like you, that's why that school's out of the watch list. Great job, leader, right there. Awesome job. Senor Murray, talk to us.
Yeah, so no, I love listening to these the team here and just the brilliance there as well. And I actually would love to start with the second piece, because I think it builds on what Tammy was just saying. You know, for me, leading Future Ready Schools, it's an equity focused organization at All for Ed, and so the work that we do, you know, for me, what motivates me is recognizing the students that I'm working on a national level for that have far less than I had growing up. And so recognizing kind of my own privilege, my own opportunity, and grew up in middle-class America as a white male. And there's just a lot of things in my world that I had access to that I'd never just realized growing up, until realizing that, wow, so many kids in our country, and this is something I recognized very early in my teaching career, didn't have access. And so for me, my passion, that energy comes from looking in the eyes of kids that deserve an opportunity. And that's for us making sure that each child deserves an opportunity. And so for me, that passion and that motivation comes from recognizing there is so much work to be done to love on those kids, to provide access and to provide opportunities for those kids. And because that work needs to be done, we need to be so passionate about to help level the playing field. And so that's I think what drives me and what motivates me there. And to be able to do that. And then following up, the other piece was, it's late and I'm tired. What was the other question that you wanted me to answer?
Educator that inspired you, motivated you, that said,
oh, the educator. Yeah, sorry about that. I've been 4 states in 4 days. So I'm trying to figure out our time zone here. And so with that, the educator piece, that's an easy one for me. In my first chapter of Personal and Authentic, I tell the story about my mentor. And the short version is this. At 21 years old, fresh out of college, I really had no idea what I was doing. I was trying to figure it out. There's many times I wanted to walk away. He didn't let me. He put his arm around me and said, I got you. And he helped me day after day after day. But he also showed me tough love. When there was times where my mindset was off, he kind of lovingly whacked me upside the head and was like, that's not how we do it here. I need to pull you back. There's a tragedy that I share in Personal and Authentic that happens. And he passes away in my first year teaching. And 4,000 people at his funeral. He was an educator. He was a teacher. And so with that, when I look at that, he is somebody that pushed me to be the best that I could be, helped me bring me back to my purpose and my why and why I was really there to begin with, but to also show, like, never, ever say that you're just that teacher, because every day he had the opportunity and we have the opportunity to change and support the lives of kids. And so, in sharing that, Mark Weeder is the man I want to give a shout out to. And I only got to spend a year of my life with him, but I will tell you, I think about him literally every day. And it's why I will continue to help his legacy live, because when you look at the impact we get to have, that's something he had on me as an adult, but also something on the literally thousands of kids that he was able to impact that would come running to him to come see him after school. And it was somebody that I wanted to be like just early in my career.
Thank you for sharing. That's very awesome. That's inspirational, all as educators. That dedicated workout guy in the morning, Sean.
Well, there's so many ways I can answer that question, Josh. So there's a lot, and I'm also, as I'm listening to everybody here, there's a lot of kinship. So there's like when Tom mentions his mentor, I think about my mentor or his, kind of his battles for equity. That's what drives me, or Lainie, and I spent a lot of time in the principal's office, not as much as Lainie did, and then Tammy. You are speaking my love language right now because I'm a proud Title I principal, so I feel your fight. And Sheka, we got to talk. I might need some coaching. So I would say first and foremost, my parents, my mother and my father. I believe parents are the best teachers, the most important teachers in a child's life. And so my father and my mother gave me my faith and gave me that strength. My dad is probably the best leadership coach I'll ever have, because he taught all of us to be helpers. That he said, that's the gig. He used to say that's the gig is we are called to serve. We are here to help, and we're all called to get off the bench to be there for others. So that's and then my mom gave me the love of language and the love of words and the love of books. That led to, as the teacher I mentioned earlier, and I've talked about and written about, Mrs. McMonagle, a 5th grade teacher who ignited something in me, who saw something in me that I did not see in myself. And I believe that's the whole gig that we have as educators, that we are called to see something, to see a strength or a gift in someone else that they may not always see in themselves or may not know that they have within themselves. And Mrs. McMonagle was that person who saw something in me, being the only Black person in a class, in a school, with a big afro, who was socially awkward and had a little bit of a stammer, and she ignited in me. She made me want to become a teacher. That was it. Once she introduced me to Charles Dickens and Shakespeare and all of those things. So that was huge. And then Probably another one. I grew up with Mr. Rogers, and Fred Rogers, and the value of empathy, and the value of valuing people. So that's huge. Right now, there's so many folks that inspire me and fire me up. This group here, I would say at this moment, at this time. I would also say, like, recently, and I don't want to be Debbie Downer, but Tony Bennett just passed away. And I've really been diving into his music and diving into the example, and his pursuit for excellence and artistry, and being very humble about it. And so lately, kind of his life and his legacy, and what he gave for music and for others, and really focusing on excellence and valuing the audience. I've been taking a lot of leadership lessons from that lately. And I'm trying to find a way to kind of bottle that, and put that out when I greet our faculty in a few weeks. So his stuff has really been speaking to me as of late.
Thank you for sharing. Exactly. Yeah, we all feel the pain of losing him. Hey, Sheka, my 10K club member, talk to us.
All right. Well, similar to Tammy, I was probably a little goody two shoes in school. I don't remember getting anything past a parent phone call in 5th grade and recess taken. So I think even on senior skip day, I got signed out. I didn't want any blemishes on my record. But in school, my favorite teacher that really started that awakening phase for me, where I was seeing myself in the actual curriculum through Black history and the things that we were taught, was Mr. Wayne Worthy. He was also my yearbook staff teacher, because he just made learning so fun for all of us, and so exciting that I wanted to take every class that he had, available. So yearbook staff, we had a lot of fun in there. We did other things too, where I would leave campus and we would pay all of his bills. He didn't do anything. We did everything for him. But now the person or the people that keep me on fire, I would have to say first are my own 2 daughters. They're 8 and 11. So they're in school. They inspire me. The Fantastic Four, what we do on Saturdays, Principal Sean Hurt, Principal Kafele, all of the guests that he has on Unlock the Middle, all of the guests that you all have on. It's just all inspiring, people coming together to continue to do this work for children, because there's so much work to be done. Even our new teachers that came in on yesterday, I had to do PD for them on classroom management, and their thing about what could have been better. We needed more. We wanted it longer. So all of that keeps me on fire.
Outstanding. Listening to these stories, I would love to talk with each of you at length about your story. I spent some time in the office as well, so you're not alone up there. Things didn't click for me educationally until summer vacation. But speaking of summer, yeah, you like that. Speaking of summer, this is a softball. We're just going to whip it right around the screen. What are you doing for your own summer rejuvenation? What have you done, Sean?
Well, it's not just a summer thing. It's a daily thing, if not every other day. So I believe I value peace and balance in my life, and my pathway. And Josh knows, because I like to get up super early in the morning. And if I'm not reading, I like to go to my little Planet Fitness, and I put on my music. It might be Zeppelin. It's been Tony Bennett. It's not really good workout music, because I was crying the other day listening to stuff. But yeah, that's what I try to do. And then obviously I am a beach person, so I was able to get away for the first time in a long time with my family, with my wife and our 3 daughters, and got to our special place we go to in North Carolina, Ocean Isle Beach. I live in North Carolina, so I'm not too far from you, Tammy. I'm in the other Kakalaki, but yeah, and then really trying to be mindful. I've been working on that this summer too. So I have the whole building. I work through the summer. I'm a 12-month employee, so I try to find a moment in the day, because we're closed on Fridays, so I do 10-hour days. But I try to find a moment of the day where I can just be mindful and just be in the silence of the building, the silence of an empty classroom. It's been beneficial. So I've enjoyed that peace and balance through the day in this summer.
Nice. Very nice. Very nice. Very nice. Tom.
So I honestly feel like I should pass on this question. Because unless you want me to make something up, no, so I'll just keep it real. So I'm on the road Monday to Friday from July 6th to September 8th. So I don't stop during this time, which is a personal struggle of mine. I struggle with balance, just being totally real. But let me put two things. Once that kind of summer piece, because it's all leadership retreats and convocations and all those things literally every day for those 2 months. Once that stops, I'll take some time to pause and disconnect. And for me, it's the beach as well, but that needs to wait until like a weekend in September. And so we'll get that. But I will say the weekends when I'm home, the day and a half when I'm home each weekend, I'll say I find a way to just be present with the people that I love and just to pause with the people that I love and to breathe. And even though the time is very limited for me in the summer with them, I will say, because it's just one of the craziest times, I will say that we really need to be intentional in those moments to be present where your feet are. And so for me, I'm trying to do that. And I think two things rejuvenate me. One is even though the travel chaos literally of Monday through Friday and flying virtually every day can be crazy, what motivates me is the people. Because like I said earlier, no matter where I go, it's amazing people. So I love what I do. And so I get rejuvenated by every day going and working with amazing people. And I don't say that lightly. So it is rejuvenating and loving what we do. But I do need to find that balance. And so I'm just going to call it out there and say, I don't do it well in the summer because I'm on all summer. But when I try to be present with the people that I love when I'm with them, even if the time is minimal. And I think that's really important.
Well, thanks for spending some time with us tonight, even though you are home for these 15 hours. We'll get you back on that ground floor in just a little bit. Hey, Tammy.
Yes, like Tom, I probably should pass the baton. This has not been a really good summer for being able to rejuvenate. I am in the process of opening school. My teachers come back Monday, so we've had a fairly short summer. So it's been kind of hectic this summer, trying to get ready to get back to school as quickly as we were going. And then Sheka and I have really been busy this summer. So we've been on the road a lot. Like I've been traveling and doing things. But like Sean, I do believe in mindfulness. So wherever I am, I do try to get that space where I can just be with me and clear my head and just get peace where I am. And what has rejuvenated me though this summer, and it's something that I do value, is I've gone on 2 road trips with family, and I've really enjoyed being able to be present with them. Because as Tom said, that is a really important thing, and centering my attention on those people when I'm there with them. I came back from a weekend trip with my mom and took her to see her family. And although that was busy and chaotic and just mad crazy, it was still good to be present with those people who are most important. And we did the same thing on an Ohio trip several weeks ago. So ask me in the fall when you guys have me back, and I'll tell you how I have taken some time and just rejuvenated. And I'll let y'all know what it looks like.
All right. Look forward to hearing it. Sheka.
I'm kind of like Tammy. I teeter-totter between what Tom described and what Sean described. So through that balance, I do a daily devotional. Is how I try to start my day with, I'm a woman of faith. So the word always keeps me rejuvenated and motivated. I also work out with Josh with the 10,000 step club. So I'm usually up at either 3 or 4 a.m. to make sure that I get that in. And I try to end my day with meditation just to calm myself back down because my mind races a lot with so many things to do. And I make sure that I keep my membership to Massage Envy. So my regular massages help too. But what I did this summer to rejuvenate my family, we took a trip to the Dominican Republic. So that was my daughter's their first international trip. So it was exciting. They had their little passports, and now they won't go back to the lake anymore. They keep saying, "Oh, this water is not like the Dominican Republic," and I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" So then the next trip I'll be taking is with my sister. We're going to do a sister's birthday trip. Her birthday is actually July 30th. Mine is in August 24th. So we'll do that. But like Tammy said, we've been running around Jacksonville, Tampa, a lot of different places for PD. We got more places to go. So that's that teeter-totter. We just try to keep it balanced, but it's hard, but we work on it.
It looks like you're both smiling despite the fact that you're running around on that hamster wheel quite often. So that's a good thing. It means you're doing what you love, and that's important to rejuvenate. Lainie, round us out.
They took all my answers. No, it's okay.
All right,
I agree with everyone. I will just say, adding one thing. I know a lot of us travel a lot during the summer. One of the things that I have been very intentional in doing this summer is, airports are not typically a place of a lot of joy because people tend to be stressed. And in the summer, when we've got extra travelers and we've got all sorts of delays and things, I keep these little thank you notes in my wallet. And when I see someone doing something, maybe just to smile at me, just something kind. We had a 5-hour delay on Monday, and this woman was just so positive, and she's compassionate, and she had the empathy. She's not blowing us off, but she's just like, we're going to get there. It's going to happen. And so I just gave her a little card and her face lit up, and that's just been bringing me a lot of joy. And so just trying to spread some happiness in some places that maybe aren't the epicenter of happiness right now.
Outstanding. That's really kind of you. I love it.
So I've had the pleasure of listening to so many of your podcasts. I don't want to take that away from anybody because I want you all to say the following 3 things. Tom, talk about when you started your podcast. When did it start? Tell the audience the format that you flow, and then who your target audience is, because we've all heard each other's podcasts one way or the other, but it might be new to a brand new person listening right now. Does that make sense? So it's about growing stronger together. So Tom, when did you start it? What's the format of your podcast, and who's your target audience?
Awesome. So great question. Thank you. So leading through unprecedented times, we do through Future Ready Schools. And I will tell you, we started it 2 weeks into the pandemic when we realized it's not going to be 2 weeks to flatten the curve. People are going to be home and people need some hope. And so we started it to give people hope. So we started it by voices of hope throughout the nation. It's geared typically towards admin, because Future Ready Schools is really admin oriented. So really everything from instructional coaches, but then principals on up, superintendents. So our guests are anyone from lots of superintendents, lots of principals, instructional coaches, but then bring in some folks like a Chris Singleton. I'm not sure if you know Chris. Chris is a good friend of mine. His mother was murdered by a white supremacist in South Carolina. If you remember that story from a number of years ago, he's become a good friend, and we allow him to, or we not allow, we bring him in as a good friend to say, tell us about and talk to leaders about hope, and to have somebody like him talk about love is stronger than hate at a time where so many leaders are feeling hatred and feeling adversity and feeling all this stuff, to bring messages of hope. So you have somebody like him, and I've had multiple gold medal winner was on this time and talking about what it's like to be in a stadium in a foreign country, booed by 100,000 fans, and still pull through in adversity, because principals know what it's like to get knocked left and right because of something that happens or something in the media. And so trying to be able to create. So it's really for leadership, to give folks hope and to show across the board just great things that are happening in small and tiny rural schools, and also in some very large schools. Next week, we'll be with my buddy Calvin Watts. He's the superintendent in Gwinnett. It's the 11th largest district in the country. That's how we're going to be closing out our final season. If you're interested in checking it out, futureready.org/leading is where people can listen and subscribe. So thanks for the opportunity.
Love it. This guy right here. Sean, talk to us. That's I love that podcast.
Thanks, Josh. I appreciate that. So my podcast is called the Principal Liner Notes Podcast, and it is, basically the original vision was kind of twofold. One, to model for the people I serve that, I'm talking about integrating technology and being innovative and future ready and those things. So I wanted to kind of put my money where my mouth was. So I wanted to model for our teachers that I'm not alone, that I want to walk that talk. The other thing too is the principalship. And for those of us who've been in administration, and I think everybody here, is a really lonely gig. And I'm not saying that to get sympathy or get an awe, but you're the only principal in the building. There may be another AP, there may be another fifth grade teacher. There's departments, but you're it. And so I think it's important that we as principals and leaders connect with each other. So the podcast is my attempt to really connect and to have a conversation. It's very informal. It's very homegrown. I do it all on my phone. As for those of you who have done that or been on it with me, I just this year, I've really been in earnest in having guests on. And having conversations. So I really, in that connectivity, I also want to amplify or help amplify rather the voices of others and to have folks share that story and create that connection. I talk a lot about music, liner notes. Those are those things on albums. And so I sometimes I'm just a geek. I'm a geek, but I'm a big music geek. So I really try to connect things. Also, sometimes the podcast is me because I have a long commute. And I will riff. I will just take out my phone and I will start riffing about something that's on my heart, on my mind, something I've been thinking about maybe during a workout. And I do like an impromptu morning commute episode. I did one this morning, really in honor of Tony Bennett. So I kicked off season 5. I've got some great guests lined up, and I'm excited about amplifying them and helping them share their story and connect with others. So I appreciate the opportunity to share about that. Principal Liner Notes. It's on Spotify. It's on any podcast platform that you want. I've started to go video with that too, because I'm not the most photogenic person, but I kind of went out on a limb, and I'm doing it through YouTube as well. So really excited about where it's going and some of the attention that it's been getting lately.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Tom Murray, A+. Sean Gaillard, A+. Lainie. I wake up very grouchy, listen to that podcast. Totally. Lainie.
That's true.
Oh, that's very kind. That's very kind. I thought you were going to go a different direction after you gave them A+, and then Lainie. That's okay. So I'm just teasing. But so this is I've done podcasts in the past. In fact, many years ago with my district, I did a podcast about online learning, highlighting how we were using that program. This one, Evolving with Gratitude, is basically a connection and continuation of the book Evolving with Gratitude, where I talk about the science and the benefits of gratitude in education. And so 20 amazing educators, including Mr. Sean Gaillard, contributed stories. And it was so lovely to have those stories in. It was the best thing. I tell people all the time, it took that book from good to great, in my opinion. And when I got the response from people, the reactions from people about the stories that were in there, I knew I couldn't have put more stories in the book because I needed to keep the book concise, but I knew there were more stories to share. So we're on episode 64. Marlon Stiles' episode came out 2 days ago. Sorry, I'm with Tom. Not sure what time zone I'm in, what day it is, but his episode came out, super inspiring. And it's just, what does gratitude mean to you? What does that look like in your life? And it's just so fun having these conversations where we talk about how gratitude can nurture relationships, improve well-being, and activate learning. So the target audience is anyone. It's definitely educators are typically the guests, but I have social scientists occasionally. And it's just been a lot of fun. And I'm going to do it as long as people will come on the show and people will listen. Actually, I'm going to do it as long as people will come on the show, even if people stop listening. But
Perfect. Lainie, A plus. Perfect.
Thank you.
And now the leadership doctors. I don't know how you guys want to take this on, but here you go. Hot potato.
Okay, well, I'll start and I'll talk about our first platform, the collaborative. We were like Tom. We started right at the start of the pandemic, and with the collaborative, what we were seeing during that time, people were frustrated. Parents were frustrated. Educators were frustrated. Everybody was running one another down on Facebook or social media platforms. So we wanted to bring everybody together to try to curb some of what we were seeing happening as those problems. So we started the collaborative, and it's a platform where the two of us would bring on educators, parents, leaders together in one space to talk through, how can we make some of these things better? Hear from a parent's perspective about, it was just too much work, or, maybe it wasn't explained well, and what we could do to solve that problem. So we were trying to solve it locally, but also allow other people to hear how to navigate through some of those things. And after that time of the pandemic, we have still kept that collaborative format where we want community members, parents, educators to all still be together, because a lot of times in education, we can't get anywhere because we're not inviting everyone to the table. So we sometimes we shoot ourselves in the foot by only we say we can only solve the problems we can solve, but if we bring more people to the table, we might could have a better outcome. So that was the premise behind the collaborative, and we keep that format as well. With our real framework, we have invited principals on that tune in to us to talk about how they use that real framework in their schools and in their work. And that real framework came from the work that Tammy and I have done as turnaround principals. Our schools exited the school improvement process. My middle school, her elementary school. My school improved 2 report card grade levels in 1 year, hers 3 report card grade levels in 1 year. So we try to help others with that work with our framework as well. And then we have a spinoff show like Chris and Josh and Dean and Tammy will talk about our spinoff podcasts.
Yes. One thing I will add, though, one thing that Sheikah and I were also concerned with during that time, because, like she said, we started during the pandemic. And one of the things that is of utmost importance to us is literacy. So, one thing that we have included in our collaborative on Tuesday evenings, and we've gone to the first Tuesdays of the month now, is a story time, because we want to make sure that parents understand how important it is to read with their children at home. So that was, again, a part of all the work that we were doing in our schools, because we were in state sanctioned school improvement and did not know where we were going to go from there, and had no one to lead us out of that turmoil that we were in. So we created a framework. That's the Real framework. And our spinoff is the Real Academy. We are a part of the Fantastic Four, and we are the 10:30 spot on Saturday mornings, where we decided that we were going to use that framework that we use to exit school improvement and to improve our report card ratings, to share with other administrators who might find themselves struggling or in similar situations where they were facing state sanctioned improvement, or just feeling like they were out there all alone. So, again, we're in great company with Principal Sean Hurt, who comes on at 10, and Principal Kafele, who follows us at 10:55, and then, of course, unlike the middle on Sunday night, and Dr. Roz, I see her on here. Hi. Is on, I think, on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So we really enjoy both of those platforms and consider those our gifts back to promote the work that administrators and educators are doing, and with respect, feel like it's our due diligence to do what wasn't done for us.
And that acronym stands for respect, excellence, accountability, literacy, and leadership. And like Tammy said, we didn't have that support, so we try to be that support.
That's awesome. I mean, you think about the wealth of knowledge that you're spreading and sharing with others and building this amazing professional development library. I mean, this is how change happens, and we can really be influencers, right? So you're teaching others by providing the service of engagement through your podcast. Let's talk about what you've taken away. What's that top learning experience and the top guest that you've had? Not like top, like rank number one, number two, and the like, but who's the guest that has had the most impact on you as a host? Somebody who's influenced you that you've interviewed. Let's have Lainie take the first hard fastball.
Oh, that's the one you hit me with first. Oh boy. Well, I'm gonna give a shout out to George Kuros, because he is the first guest on this podcast, and he actually has supported me through this entire gratitude journey. So he is a great friend, a great mentor, and I really appreciate all he has done to help me in this work. Not just with evolving with gratitude, but we just released the journal Bold Gratitude, and so he's just been there supporting me through this, and him being the first guest really helped launch the podcast, and so it was really an enlightening conversation for me, but also just the support that he's given me has been tremendous.
Outstanding. Sheka.
I think the most powerful, or the most impact, we live in a small rural area. So when we first started, people are like, what are y'all doing? So I think that the most impactful were the people that were in our district who trusted us and, were vulnerable and got on with us. Some of our school leaders that did those first few episodes with us, and even some of our local parents. Those are the people that I think really made that impact for me, that were most memorable, because at the start of that was when things were online, kind of new. So it was kind of like, well, what is happening now? But they trusted us, and that meant a lot. So those would be my most impactful ones, the ones who were from our district locally, and our community family members that got on with us.
Outstanding, Sheka. Thank you. How about you, Tammy?
I agree with Sheka, but I'll say that we also have had some very powerful, pretty hard hitters on our Real Academy, but we do that like together. But we have people who join us that like really set us on fire, because we're excited about the support that we get, and many of them are actually on here now. Just people who have been faithful to us and just been there to support us through this journey. And I think another very memorable episode for us was probably when we had Principal Kafele on, who took time out of his schedule to come on and do what he does very well and inspire those folks who are on with us. And then another, I think that is top at the top of the list for us, is when we had several authors who came on that were a part of the 12 Days of Christmas that we hosted one year. And we saw some absolutely amazing minority authors and met some incredible people. So I feel like the platform has provided us with a way to meet and engage with people that, of course, we would otherwise not have access to. And it's been a real blessing for us.
It's an awesome run being able to engage with others. Hey, Lainie.
May I amend my answer? I didn't know I was allowed more than one. Half of this Brady Bunch screen has been on my podcast. So I just want to point out that Josh and Sean and Tom were amazing guests, and I love their episodes, and you should check them out. I was really trying to sidestep not naming one of them, but now that I know I can name more than one, there you go.
Well, that's why I started out with you. It was a test, Lainie. It was an absolute test.
Right, Lainie.
I failed a lot of those in my life.
Another A+. Another A+.
We were all private messaging, figuring out which one of us was number 2, but that's all right. No problem. No
Yeah. Good call, Tom. Yeah, I'm like, wait a minute.
And me and Tammy are saying, well, when are we getting our invitation? No, I'm just joking.
You got it. You just got it. Everyone on the Brady Bunch board, you're welcome anytime.
Awesome. Tom.
Yeah, so I'm thinking here, and Lainie, you dropped Marlon Stiles. Full disclosure, Marlon's one of my best friends, and he was on the podcast, and just one of the most motivating people on the planet. You referenced Principal Cavalli, and just incredible people that you're referencing here. For mine, it was the moment you asked the question, I'd almost like scroll back and be like, oh my gosh, like that is a hard question to answer. I referenced Chris Singleton earlier. In Chris's episode, I literally was brought to tears as he talks about forgiving his mother's killer. And he talks about how like just the love is stronger than hate. And it was just like, I get chills just talking about it. But since I dropped his name already, I'm going to also say my buddy Damon West. If you know the story about the coffee bean, Damon's the author of the book, The Coffee Bean with John Gordon. And Damon has a lifetime prison sentence. And he got out in 7 years because he completely changed the culture of it. And he now travels the country sharing his story about being a high-end robber in Dallas and what it was like to go to a federal penitentiary, be behind bars. And his story of the coffee bean essentially boils down to this, is that when put in boiling water, a carrot gets soft, an egg gets hard, but the coffee changes the water. And so to be a coffee bean, I love that story, but I also love, here's somebody that truly had everything taken away from him, found himself in federal prison with a lifetime sentence, and found a way to pull it all back together. And so the challenge, I think, for me in that case, and having had on and in that story, and as somebody that's a really good friend, as an accountability partner, is the times that you're facing adversity, people out there, there's a way to say, like, I can still pull through this, and I'm going to figure out a way to make it happen. And so he's somebody that's a good friend that just motivates me personally as well. So I'm going to point to that episode.
Super powerful. Thank you very much. Sean.
Wow, I agree with Tom. This is a really hard question. So I didn't go to my prom. So anytime that I have a guest on, I feel like I'm going to the prom because I'm so grateful that folks have chosen to kind of hang with me. So I'm going to say probably one of the most probably important guests, if not the most important guest that I had on the podcast, was my daughter Emily last year. And that was a real, I'm a proud girl dad. I'm a proud dad. And to have, she's going to be a junior, in college. And that was a really neat moment. And if you listen to that episode, I get this, I start crying at the end because I'm just so proud of her and seeing the woman, the strong woman that she's become, because again, the purpose of the podcast is to amplify the voices of others. And I step back, I'm like, man, I'm amplifying my daughter. That's the most important thing I'm doing, so that was a really powerful moment. Another person, I think, who's a mutual friend for many of us here, and she is the unofficial executive producer of the Principal Liner Notes. And that's Lauren Kaufman, who is one of my most favorite humans on the planet. She's my most favorite blogger. She's been on twice. She is a very compelling, sharp. This is one to watch, and I know she's contributed to Evolving with Gratitude in Lainie's book. She was in George Coros's Because of a Teacher, Volume 1. That is one to watch. Subscribe to her blog, and that was great to have her on the episode. I was really also grateful to have Alexandra Robbins. That was like my first big name. She's a New York Times bestselling author. She wrote The Teachers, and and just really empathetic voice for education and advocate. Speaking of authors, I had 2 co-authors on who wrote a book in tribute to Mr. Rogers, Greg Bear and Ryan Rosinski. And that was another episode where I lost it. I started crying in the middle of it, and both of them just seamlessly picked up the episode because it was a very emotional moment that we reached in that podcast. So, but I'm grateful. And I think Lainie was on at one point, twice. So she was okay. She was okay. But open invitation to everybody here. So let's trade. I know we're in a text group, but I would love to continue the conversation and have you all on in some way, shape, or form. Even Lainie, you can be.
I know you had a dip in downloads those weeks that I was on, and I thank you.
Stop it! No. There was no dip in downloads. You're coming back, Lainie. Yeah, we're gonna get bold with gratitude.
We're getting crunched on time there. We have 4-minute crunch. We could do this. We got a couple quick questions. But real quick, before any further, I'd like to send up some flowers to Chris and Dean, who created these 3 shows: Office Hours, Unlock the Middle, The Red Zone. Look at the guests that they get together. They're on fire. They created this platform. These guys are rocking and rolling. Here we go. Everybody, starting off there with Sean. Tell other people 3 guests they should follow, or anybody they should follow. And 3 people that should be followed. And don't take your time because we're pressed on time.
Okay. Gosh, man, no pressure. Follow John, Paul, George, and Ringo, the Beatles. That's 4.
Okay, that is your thing. I got you, Tom.
That's my
3
thing.
people they should follow.
I'm going with my boys: Joe Sanfilippo, Jimmy Casas, Marlon Styles.
Perfect. Lainie.
How dare you? I can't. I don't even know.
I'll come back to you. Tammy.
Josh Tovar, Sheka Houston, and Principal Kafele.
You got it. Hey, that's unfair. Sheka Houston.
I'm going to say Principal Tammy Taylor on Facebook, even though she's Dr. Taylor now. She won't change her handles. Josh Tovar and Sean Hurt.
Lainie, here we go.
Okay, I'm going to do one in the interest of time. Jeff Cohen, he is the author of Belonging, and it is a beautiful book. He's the one that was a big swing for me, and because a lot of the other big names are friends of mine, and so they're just nice enough to come on. He was very generous with his time, and I think you should check out Jeff Cohen.
Awesome. So we're going to go quick hit podcast that others should listen to, and a 2-sentence summary of why. Lainie put her hands up. Go ahead, Lainie.
Yeah, I would say The Happiness Lab by Laurie Santos. It's a really well-balanced look, brief, concise, entertaining look at how we can obviously have a happier life. One of my favorites. I highly recommend it.
Brilliant. Sheka.
The AP and New Principals Academy with Principal Kafele every Saturday. It's always on fire, always dynamic guests. You will never be disappointed. He changed the name because he kept running into people who were saying, I don't need it anymore. I'm a principal. We never arrive. Keep tuning in.
Yeah, we never arrive. That train is always late. You are right. Tom.
I'm going to go completely out of left field and not an education podcast because I think we've got to make sure that we're pushing on that. And I'm going to go with the Dave Ramsey Show. As a person of faith, it's a faith-based way of looking at our finances. And there's a crisis in this country around finances. It's something I've learned a lot from personally over the last probably 20 years, called the Dave Ramsey Show. Check him out.
Sweet. Sean.
Two real quickly. Person to follow. I'll go back to my last answer. Elizabeth Dampf. Great blogger for ASCD. She was on the podcast. She's, oh my gosh, sharp podcast. Sarah Candela is the Optimalist podcast. Really deep, meaningful, mindful podcast. I've really enjoyed Sarah's guests and kind of the deep dive she takes into mindfulness.
Phenomenal. I love the mindfulness connection. Tammy.
Actually, I think you guys, I'm not in education either, but Higher Definition Radio, Lamont Ratchford and his crew does an outstanding job of being inspirational and encouraging and uplifting, which is something that we all need. And as people of faith, it's always good to have that energy that is recharged by something that's positive and uplifting.
Love it, guys. Thank you for everything. We have a couple of seconds. Thank you to this awesome podcast smash number 3. Join us this Sunday for Ryan Tillman. Ryan Tillman on the flagship show this coming Sunday and next Thursday. Red Zone for podcast smash 4. Number 4, ready to rock and roll. Thank you guys for being here. We love you. We care about you. Follow all of these awesome educators. Let's go home, Chris, before they kick us out.
Sounds good. Our subscription might be up.